Ben 23. A big heist worth billions. In Dimension 23, the amazing hero known as Ben Tennyson stood in front of his new billboard. "Yes, Frank, I'm staring at it, and the picture is way off," Ben barked. "I do not care, just get it sorted," Ben barked again. He then pressed his earpiece, hanging up the phone. He let out a very long sigh. Suddenly, his train of thought was broken by an explosion far off in the background. Ben looked up and saw a massive pillar of smoke crawling its way up to the clouds. Ben rolled his eyes, and then he bolted towards the source of the explosion. He stepped up to a museum covered in furious flames. The announcer drone appeared in the air.
Ben 23 is here. Which alien will he decide to put out those fires?
The announcer said. Ben pressed the button on his hero watch and turned the dial. He shrugged and then he slammed his palm on the watch and transformed into Freeze Lizard.
Ben has chosen Freeze Lizard!
The announcer called out. Freeze Lizard shot a blast of ice from its mouth, hitting the flames, freezing them solid. He then ran, breathing ice as he did, making himself a ramp to run up. He launched himself into the air, releasing a barrage of ice blasts that rained down upon the flames. Across the street, a crowd of fans cheered as Freeze Lizard froze the flames solid. As he landed, he waved at his adoring fans.
Freeze Lizard has done it again, saving the museum from a terrible fire!
The announcer called out. Freeze Lizard turned back into Ben, and he waved at his fans once more. "Make sure you get yourself a Ben Euro," Ben called out to the crowd. He then walked away, leaving the flashing cameras, the cheering fans, and the nagging reporters behind. He loved his life, the fame, the money, the fact that he is now a true hero after being mentored by the other Ben. He no longer felt the need to fight every single alien. Instead, he just gave an alien the chance and did other forms of heroics, like saving cats from trees, putting out fires, and every now and then saving the president from assassinations. He now knew the difference between good aliens and bad aliens. Ben sighed long and hard. His watch beat to life, letting him know that he could transform when needed. His phone started to ring and he pressed his earpiece, hanging up the call. He did not have the patience to deal with his manager or the next person trying to use him to promote their event or product. Ben walked for a very long time. Eventually, he stopped at the pier. He looked across the ocean, watching the boats float over the gentle still water, when something strange suddenly started happening. Out of nowhere, the water started moving, spiraling, spinning out of control. The still water became a whirlpool. Ben turned the dial on his hero watch and slammed his palm on it, transforming into Build-A-Guy. The blocky alien leant over the ledge and extended his block-like body, becoming a long, thick bridge, and he reached out as far as possible, grabbing onto the first boat. Everyone jumped off the boat and started running across Build-A-Guy, climbing onto the pier. Then Build-A-Guy moved to the other boat, allowing the people to do the same. Then he had the two boats that was caught up in the whirlpool to do next. He held on to now the empty boat and retracted his legs, letting go of the pier. His body built itself back into normal shape and size as he climbed onto the empty boat. He then ran over to the two swirling boats. He stretched one arm out and grabbed onto one of the moving boats. He then pulled himself over to it, landing on the boat safely. There was only one fisherman on this boat. He extended his hand, grabbed onto the fisherman, and then he jumped across the whirlpool, extending his arms out as he did, catching onto the second boat. He pulled himself across, landing on it. Everyone gathered around him. He extended and wrapped himself around the family and fisherman, becoming a ball. The two boats crashed into one another, throwing the brick ball across the water. Build-A-Guy then extended his hands out and used them to paddle himself. The ball-like form went across the water nicely, and he finally bumped into the pier. He opened up and allowed everyone to climb onto the pier safely. Build-A-Guy climbed onto the pier as his watch beeped and he shifted back into his human form. "Thank you, Ben, thank you, the people cried out. "No problem," Ben replied with a shrug. He looked back at the wreckage and the whirlpool had subdued. "Okay, now that was strange," Ben muttered to himself. Ben sat there with his classic order sat in front of him, when suddenly his phone started ringing. Once again, he sat there and hit his earpiece, hanging up the call. It then rang again, and so he hung up once again. By the third ring, he just removed the earpiece altogether and placed it on the table. He looked up at the television that was hung on the wall. The news reporter was talking about Ben's heroics, and that there was a device on the ocean bed that had started the whirlpool, but it malfunctioned halfway through, causing the whirlpool to stop. Ben rolled his eyes. Who on earth wants to create whirlpools? Ben muttered. Suddenly his hero watch started beeping and he pressed the button. What, Azimuth? Ben moaned. Well, if you answered your communication device, I don't have to use your Omnitrix to call you, Azimuth stated. Sorry, what's up? Ben asked. Someone is in your tower and is trying to break into your money room, Azimuth stated. My vault? I'll be there as quick as I can, Ben barked. In Tower 23, 3 individuals stood there, in front of Ben's vault. One was a very large-built man with a large toenail on his forehead, one was a skinny, lanky man, lacking most of his teeth, and the third was a woman with really long blue hair. The large one threw a fist and punched the dial pad. Small sparks of electricity broke out of it, and the lanky one walked up to the door and exhaled some green gas, which melted the door itself, allowing the girl to use her hair on its own, moving. Each strand grabbed some money bags, removing them from the vault. Suddenly, the window smashed as Rollaway came rolling in. The ball bounced around the room and slammed into the large man, smashing him into a wall, knocking him out. Rollaway unfolded and stood there. Now put the money back, or else I'll pound the rest of you, Rollaway barked. Please, the lanky one hissed. He exhaled his green fog. Rollaway tucked up back into his ball once again and rolled through the fog, his hard shell protecting him from the acid. He slammed into the lanky one, knocking him across the room. The girl let go of the bags of cash and whipped out her hair. The strands wrapped around the sphere. Rollaway spun on the spot, pulling the lady across the room. She flung around the room multiple times, and Rollaway opened up and swung out one of his almighty meaty claws, backhanding the woman as she hit the ground hard. Ha ha! Please, Rollaway chuckled. Then he timed out and turned back into Ben. Oh, I can't say I've had someone try to steal from the vault before, Ben sighed. Ben then turned around looking for Azimuth, but instead he saw someone else stood there. A young man with a wicked grin. Billy? Damn, you made me jump, Billy gasped. Never hire thugs to do a smart man's job, Billy snapped. Wait, what do you mean? Ben asked. My name is Billions, and I should have been the rich one. I built everything from gizmos, gadgets, trinkets, and weapons. And no, you had to get the watch and be a hero. This tower, the fame, should have all been mine, Billy snapped. Yeah, Billy, have you got a few screws loose? You're on my board of executives. You're a genius. You've literally helped out me and my brand so much, Ben told him. But it should have been mine, Billy roared. Billy then pulled out a blaster and fired it at Ben. Ben leapt to one side, dodging the blast. Are you nuts? Wait, no, never mind, don't answer that, Ben muttered. Billy then pulled out a disc no bigger than a frisbee and he threw it. It stopped in mid-air and unleashed multiple lasers as it spun on the spot. Ben laid there covering his face from the blast and his watch suddenly beeped. Oh, hero watch, thank you, Ben cheered. He aimlessly spun the dial and slammed the dial down and transformed into Mr. Monkey. He shot a web from his tail, hitting the disc, and yanked the disc out of the air and swung it and let it go, the disc crashing into the wall, which broke it. Mr. Monkey then jumped into the air, and Billions then grabbed a small ball and tossed it, and it landed in the center of the room, exploding in a flash of light. Mr. Monkey covered his eyes and crashed on the ground, squealing out. You are supposed to be distracted, but I do not have the money to make top-notch gadgets. If they worked as they were supposed to, you wouldn't have been here, Billions cried out. Mr. Monkey shook his head, clearing his vision. Wait, you started the fire and the whirlpool, Mr. Monkey grunted. Yes, the explosion should have been tenfold, and the whirlpool should have not been out so fast, but it wasn't even stronger or larger than I expected. It was a complete failure, Billions screeched. Okay, at first I thought you were just crazy, but you just put a whole bunch of other lives at risks. That's not cool, man, Mr. Monkey growled. He shot a web at Billy, which hit him in the foot. At the same time, Billy put a glove on and clicked his fingers. The sonic bar shot out and hit Mr. Monkey, who flew back. He flew out of the broken window, which he created with Rollaway. He then pulled the web that was attached to Billy's foot, which in turn pulled Billy as well. Both of them ended up out of the window. Both Mr. Monkey and Billy Billions fell. Mr. Monkey shot another web, hitting Billy in the face. He scurried, trying to rip the webbing off the face, but before he could, Mr. Monkey pulled Billy closer and punched Billy in the stomach, knocking the wind out of him. Then he punched him across the face. Then he slammed both his feet into Billy. The impact increased the velocity in his descending. Mr. Monkey shot several webs, which flew past Billy and created a nice big web net, 1 floor above the ground, which caught Billy, the web bouncing up and down ever so softly as Billy laid there. Mr. Monkey came crashing down, landing on Billy. The impact broke the web and Billy crashed into the concrete, the sidewalk cracking due to the impact of both of them landing, with Mr. Monkey on top of Billy. Mr. Monkey hopped off and turned back into Ben. I should have been the rich one, Billy moaned as he lost consciousness. Sorry, dude, but you win some, you know how it goes, Billy replied. The police came and arrived and removed Billy from the scene. Azimuth teleported onto Ben's shoulder. Well done, Azimuth told him. I know, I'm a hero and all. But right now, why doesn't it feel like I did anything right? Ben asked him bluntly. To be a hero is to keep those safe, even those who harm themselves, Azimuth replied. Ben sighed as he watched the police car drive off, Azimuth's wise words echoing in his mind. He looked down at his hero watch and let out another sigh.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by 3 cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Tai Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channel, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.